What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Well, yesterday we had a major announcement from Rockstar and Take-Two with Red Dead Redemption coming to different platforms, and you figured that'd be an awesome, exciting announcement. Well, turns out Rockstar and Take-Two were met with a ton of backlash online, and we'll go over why that is here today. Also, we are going to be talking about this leak that popped up online, an advert that maybe gives away some of the Pokemon Presents that's happening, as well as a interesting piece for Nintendo Switch Online. And we'll also be talking about another game that got revealed for holiday 2023. This one, though, probably won't surprise you. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're gonna start today with Devolver Digital. They had a presentation yesterday, and well, it was typical Devolver fashion, where it's kind of like satire, poking fun at themselves and the industry, and it was basically Devolver delayed. So it's a presentation in the direct format that Nintendo generally has, but it's all about games that are delayed. These titles were originally planned for 2023, and well, it looks like they're going to be all moved to 2024. You can see some of the developer delayed presentation here. The titles that have been moved, though, to 2024 include Angerfoot, Pepper Grinder, The Plucky Squire, Stick It to the Stick Man, and Skate Story. Now, these are all obviously smaller indie titles with smaller teams behind them compared to much larger, like AAA budget games that have hundreds of people working on them. So these are games that, if they're going to take longer, yeah, take your time. 2023 has already turned out to be a really good year in gaming. Looking at this, though, The Plucky Squire and Skate Story are still the two that I am absolutely following. I think they're both very compelling titles, very original ideas and all this, whether it's the aesthetics, the gameplay, or even some of the visuals. But yeah, an entire presentation dedicated to games being delayed. That's just Devolver being Devolver. Also, we do have Assassin's Creed Mirage coming up in October, so just a couple of months, and I'm looking forward to it because it's back to basics, basically, for Assassin's Creed. Well, it also at times means that it's, well, business as usual for Ubisoft, as it does appear they will have microtransactions in the game. Now, originally what happened was someone posted up an image of basically a leaked item that you can buy with microtransactions in the game, and we know it's real because, well, you can see the tweet. Yeah, it got pulled down by Ubisoft. This was shared by Jonathan, and it appeared to be some sort of equipment set that you can buy, and I assume give yourself some sort of advantage in a single player game. It's Ubisoft. At one point they sold us EXP boosters, so this doesn't necessarily shock me. If you get a Ubisoft game, you probably expect there to be some sort of microtransaction in the game, even if it's all single player. We'll see again in a couple of months how egregious these microtransactions are, and if there's things you can basically play the game and ignore completely. But yeah, otherwise I am looking forward to Assassin's Creed Mirage, but we'll keep an eye on these microtransactions and see what Ubisoft has for us there. Oh, and while I did talk about Killer Instinct yesterday, there were a lot of announcements at EVO that I'm going to be going over basically throughout this week. One was a really cool collaboration between Ninja Turtles and Street Fighter 6. There is an entire trailer that was shown, really giving us an idea as to costumes and stamps and emotes, different things you can customize your own character with. I think this is all really cool. And we also saw a trailer that revealed that Aki will be heading to the game autumn 2023, so a couple of months, I guess. And look, having TMNT crossover Street Fighter 6, I mean, it sounds weird at first, because it kind of is, but it also makes sense. The Turtles should fit into most fighting games, really, if you can just nail the aesthetic and have it at least kind of blend in with the characters around them. I mean, sure, they're turtles that can fight, so yeah, why not, right? But it's just fun, and it's cool to see Capcom really taking these kind of chances with Street Fighter. I mean, we also have a Street Fighter Exoprimal crossover, so Capcom is just doing everything they can. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Rockstar and Take-Two announcing that Red Dead Redemption is indeed being released, well, this fall. And in fact, it's out in 10 days as a digital copy, and then following up in October, we will have new physical copies releasing. They originally announced it for the PlayStation and the Switch, and basically it was a very weird thing that happened. First, Nintendo UK tweeted out the announcement. I didn't see anyone else having that announcement, it was just them. And it seemed like it was being announced specifically for the Switch, and then it followed up with Rockstar and Take-Two tweeting out that it would be coming to PlayStation as well. But they didn't say anything about Xbox, which was also very strange, but we can see over on their website, this was below the trailer they posted up, saying coming to Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 4 on August 17th, the beloved Western experiences Red Dead Redemption and its horror companion Undead Nightmare, which was a really cool add-on, by the way, a very, very fun game, are coming to the Nintendo Switch and modern PlayStation systems together for the first time. Okay, seems straightforward, but then you go over to the YouTube trailer and the dislikes are overwhelming. It's like 30,000 upvotes and then 63 or 64,000 dislikes or something. So it's just getting absolutely buried. Going through the comments, people are just not happy basically with the product that's being presented here by Rockstar because it feels like the bare minimum, like completely. This is not a remake, not a remaster. It's just about a port, which means it's coming over with, yeah, visuals are bumped up in terms of resolution, but for example, the frame rate is just stuck at 30, and I mean, come on, the PS5. Something tells me that can probably handle 60 frames per second of Red Dead Redemption, the game that's been on the Xbox 360 and the PS3 up until, well, August 17th. Now, this unfortunately means that, well, you're not going to see any kind of multiplayer that will be part of the Switch or PlayStation version. Technically, if you've been playing it on the Xbox Series X, you have the best version now, and seemingly you will continue to have the best version going forward. Now, there were some talks from QA and people who are working on this port of the game that there will be some minor changes. So we will see when the game comes out, like I said, in about 10 days on August 17th. But the biggest thing here is people who have a Switch are looking at this with a lot of excitement because it's Red Dead Redemption as a portable game, which technically, because there's also no PC version of this game, which I don't get it either, that would be your really your only portable version of the game that's been officially released. So in that case, I said, you know what? I have it on the Xbox now. In fact, you can buy the Red Dead Redemption and Undead Nightmare pack on Amazon brand new. I think it's like $30 and they'll ship it out to you, get it the next day through Prime shipping. But I was curious about the pricing. They announced it, it's $50, and that's another thing that's really set people off because it feels extremely expensive for the amount of work that's gone into this, and again, the product they're presenting here. If they show up and it is a fully remastered Red Dead Redemption, I think people would be able to come to terms a bit more with that price point as opposed to what we're seeing now. And also keep in mind, this is technically coming off of the heels of what they presented with the GTA trilogy, and that was a very poor product release. Now, I will say in this case, I've been told that this port is in good hands, and actually the studio apparently that's handling this, you can see over on Twitter, there's Double 11. Now, they're a UK-based developer and publisher and all this, and it's been mentioned that they've handled a couple of other games in the past that maybe not received the best. I think like Fallout 76 was one. However, once again, I've been told that they should have this port on lock. It should release in a much better state than what we had with, say, the GTA trilogy. We also have some apparent resolution and frame rate targets that were shared by Chris, who is over at Rockstar Mag and Naughty Dog Mag, but it says that Switch 720p, 30 FPS, that's in handheld, 1080p 30 in docked mode. That's what you'd expect, as those are generally the target resolutions of the Switch in those form factors there. PS4 1080 30, PS4 Pro 4K 30, PS5 through backwards compatibility 4K 30, and that's the biggest thing. It's just a PS4 version. There is no native PS5 version, and there's no native Xbox Series version. Once again, it feels like, in terms of Red Dead Redemption and kind of the legacy that this series is carrying, you would have done a bit more with this game, and that's the most disappointing part, is they're just not. It's just kind of getting pushed out there, and then they're moving on from it. So the game itself is good. Red Dead Redemption, Undead Nightmare, they're awesome games, and I can recommend it just outright as, hey, you should pick this game up if you've never played it and try it out. The unfortunate thing is just the amount of effort seemingly that's gone into this, and that's kind of the sticking point, especially at like $50. Really, if you have an Xbox, I would just pick up Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare pack online and just play that. That's probably your best bet because technically it would be the best version. But if you want it portably, the Switch, yeah, it at least makes sense there in that regard. But let me know what you guys thought about this one because it was very split online, and I think it really comes down to which platform you were hoping to get it on. Next up, let's talk about some information that's leaked out a bit early through way of an advert in Japan, and it appears to be giving us a look at stuff that's probably getting announced today in Pokemon Presents and something that's getting announced for Nintendo Switch Online. You can see some of the advert here, and this is posted up by Go Nintendo, and it looks like they're also citing Game Explain in the process. But the first thing you can see is that there's a Psychic Mewtwo Terra raid battle, which kind of makes sense considering when we had the fade in and fade out of the Pokemon Presents. Remember, the M was like this purple light that was the last thing to fade out, first thing to fade in, and that sort of stuff. So kind of makes sense that there'd be a Mewtwo Terra raid battle now, putting those puzzle pieces together. The other thing is that it appears they are showing the Pokemon trading card game from the Game Boy Color, and that is the last thing I believe that's supposed to show up from the Game Boy section with the Nintendo Switch Online accounts. And that should be going into the $20 a year pack. That is an awesome game. I actually started up the second one because it got an official translation. I've been playing that on the Mew Mini Plus device. I've been running through the game with that, and it's still an awesome title. That one, unfortunately, never came out in the US. I think it'd be awesome if Nintendo went back, did a translation for it, and just released that one worldwide through NSO, but not really counting on that one necessarily. However, I was thinking about this a bit. We still have many N64 games that have not come out, and I believe they're supposed to release in 2023. That includes Mario Party 3, Pokemon Stadium 2, 1080 Snowboarding, and Excite Bike 64, which I guess that means we're gonna get one of these every single month now until the end of 2023. So it seems like we're getting prepared for quite a few games dropping into NSO, and then I'm very curious what happens when the Pokemon trading card game comes out, because that's the last Game Boy game. Do they announce another roadmap for that? Maybe these are things that line up with what people are expecting in September, that being another Direct, or maybe Nintendo decides not to have a roadmap and they just randomly drop Game Boy games here and there as we go forward. But if we do get that Pokemon trading card game dropping into NSO today, go check it out. It's definitely a snapshot in time, I'll say, for the Pokemon trading card game, especially if you're someone who's curious about how things were when really the cards first came out, especially in the US. The sets, everything there, the rules, it's definitely something cool to check out. So let me know what you think about that one if you have played it and if you're excited to check it out maybe later today. Next up, let's talk about another major title that has been announced for holiday 2023. That's Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, not to be confused with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 from back on the Xbox 360. It's just gaming nowadays, right? We just get the same title again, but it's a different game. In this case, though, kind of a reimagining of what happened between Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3. Anyway, there was a trailer that was released by Activision on the Call of Duty account, and it mostly just shows like a red background, some of the characters, events, and all this happening, and then we get the date of November 10th. Now, we are anticipating this game to get a much larger reveal in-game, actually. I believe they're going to do it in Warzone. They've done this before where they kind of teased reveals for different Call of Duty games, and then they have like a major reveal event, all these different things. But the biggest thing I'm sure many people are hoping to see is what they have in store for the next Warzone, as that still remains like the most popular thing in Call of Duty. I know the competitive multiplayer side, obviously a lot of people play that, but Warzone is significantly more played than basically anything else with Call of Duty. Although I believe Warzone 2.0, people don't like that as much as the first one, so maybe they can turn it around with what I guess is going to be Warzone 3.0, but this is all happening and coming out November 10th. So once again, really packing the last 3 months or so of this year. Just a lot of stuff coming out. Now we have what probably will end up being the biggest release, at least in the US, set up now for November 10th. So we'll see if we get more information around Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, most likely a week or two from now in Call of Duty, the game, that probably being Warzone, but we'll see how they figure this out. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about the Steam Deck and how you can actually get these devices even cheaper than before if you're willing to buy it refurbished from Valve. And I do have some questions about really how this arrives, what kind of shape it shows up in, and how Valve goes about refurbishing these devices in the first place. But Wario64 did tweet this out, showing some of the price differences, and at this point, you can get a Steam Deck for as low as $320. That's the 64GB model. And in fact, you can upgrade that internal storage. So technically going from 400 to 320 and then maybe having the difference go towards a larger NVMe drive that can go inside. I mean, you could end up with a $400 Steam Deck that has 512 gigabytes of storage. Otherwise, though, they have the 256 gigabyte refurbished model at $420, and then the 512 gigabyte model at $520. So it's really hit or miss with these refurbished systems. I've had some good experiences from Nintendo. Their refurbished systems would show up almost brand new looking. And I've had some terrible refurbished situations with like GameStop, for example. Retailers, not as good obviously as manufacturers of their own systems. So I would assume that Valve would turn up with a pretty good refurbished product. Most likely because Steam Decks, if there is a problem, probably has more to do with either the screen getting broken, maybe stick drift, or the NVMe inside going bad. That's replaceable, it's slotted, and the screen, of course, can be changed out as well. But I'm curious if people start ordering these, which I kind of expect them to because of how cheap they are, if people start to talk about maybe some of the quality that Valve has with their refurbished systems, or maybe I'll have to order one myself and we'll check it out. Let me know if you'd like to see that. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're gonna take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday. We're asked, are you buying Red Dead Redemption on Switch or the PS4, PS5 at $50? 11% say yes, I'm buying it on Switch. 6% say yes, I'm buying it on PS4, PS5, and then 24% say I'm going to wait for a sale. 60% just say no, I'm not interested in it. Not surprising me to see that people are voting that they will be buying it on the Switch. Again, it is still kind of that, I mean, I know the Switch's been out for a while, but Red Dead Redemption portable system, the Nintendo system getting this really good Rockstar game. I understand why people would be like, you know, it's worth $50. And let's face it, a lot of Switch owners have kind of been used to the higher price tag for some of these ports just because it's a portable experience at that time with the Switch. Whereas if you're a PS5 owner, you're probably looking at this at $50 and saying, you know what, it doesn't make sense to buy that at all. And if you're an Xbox Series owner, you might have already been playing the game for a while now and you're just gonna walk right past this one. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Stop Motion, says, Embracer is such a volatile company. They bought all these studios super quickly and at the drop of a hat will shut them down because of a poor decision at the top. I have a feeling a lot of great studios under their wing will fall prey to this. Yeah, I think anyone paying attention, I should say, to THQ Nordic, then Embracer, buying up studios left, right, and center constantly, probably realized they were growing too fast, and they just kept going with it. They were financing to make sure they could buy other entities and intellectual properties, and they got to a point where they ballooned so much they had over 200 games in development. And if these games get internal delays and you just add on more and more costs there, or the games come out and they're not very good and they don't sell that well, then yeah, you're probably gonna have to start shutting studios down and laying people off. That, and we kept hearing that Embracer was financing some of this stuff, borrowing money to buy more studios, and we see the interest rates and stuff going up and up and up, and currency exchange rates are all over the place. It's not a very good or friendly environment for borrowing a lot of money or continuing to paying down loans. So it's rough right now for Embracer, and I think we're starting to see that with some of these studios closing down and them having to lay people off, and it sounds like more layoffs are going to be coming here in the future, just based on what they said sort of their roadmap and timetable would be to more or less consolidate down so that they can work around this $2 billion deal that fell through. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. Whether it's Red Dead Redemption being revealed by Rockstar and Take-Two, what were your hopes for it, and now what are your thoughts on it after they revealed it? And then also, what about the Pokemon Presents or even the Nintendo 64 games that are still coming up for Nintendo Switch Online? Which game are you looking forward to the most? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.